I'm Reese, and I'm joined by my partner Ciro here, and we're bringing you the NBA mock draft because it's coming up quick. So first of all, I am a strong believer in James Wiseman. I think that the Hornets want James Wiseman. They have not had a dominant center like James Wiseman since they became the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, unless you want to count Al Jefferson. That's nothing special, but unless you want to count that. But no, what I have is I have the Hornets coming up to number 1, trading with the Minnesota Timberwolves, giving up Miles Bridges, the number 3 pick, and a first-rounder next year to select James Wiseman from Memphis. Now, James Wiseman is more of an old-school center. He's not exactly going to score from beyond the three-point line or anything, but he's going to get you buckets, he's going to get you rebounds, and he's almost more of a newer Andre Drummond, a better Andre Drummond.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Maybe also poor man's Bam he could eventually develop into with the correct system. But I think with that happening, it'll lead to another team wanting to leapfrog the Charlotte Hornets. Not the Charlotte Hornets, my apology, but the Minnesota Timberwolves now that they trade down to 3, and that would be the New York Knicks because they see this time that they can go in front of the Minnesota Timberwolves and get the guy they want, who is LaMelo Ball. Due to the fact that LaMelo Ball probably wants to play in a large market. He doesn't want to play in a small market like Charlotte. And the Golden State Warriors don't want a cat with that attitude or like that personality. They want someone to buy into their system. With that being said, I see the Golden State Warriors going back to 8 because they wanted Wiseman, and now they think they can get a different center down at 8, probably Onyeka Okongwu coming out of USC. New York gets the point guard of the future while sending away Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox.
And it certainly helps. LaMelo Ball is a brand in himself. Like, that's what New York needs.
Exactly.
New York needs something to turn the page and bring basketball back to the mecca of sports at Madison Square Garden. But all right, on to pick 4, with pick 3 being the Timberwolves selecting Anthony Edwards, kind of expected out of the big top 3 prospects. But on to pick 4, the Chicago Bulls taking Deni Avdija out of Israel. Now, Avdija, you could probably say he has the highest ceiling out of any of the players in this draft, coming from where you see it. He's gotten Luka Doncic comparisons, but that's just not fair because there's really not going to be another Luka anytime soon. But no, Avdija, he's a great scorer. He was 18 years old playing in the highest league in Israel, putting up these stats, which is impressive for an 18-year-old nonetheless. But no, the Bulls, with the starting lineup going into the future of Kobe White, perhaps Zach LaVine, and then Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter Jr. at the 4 and 5. Avdija slots in perfectly there at the 3 and gives him a great 5-man core to build around going into the future.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. He fits the scheme perfectly next to their other scorers and can just be a seamless fit from day one. With that being said, we think the Cavs will take Obi Toppin to replace Kevin Love, and at 6, Trae Young is the man. But what happens when Trae Young goes to the bench? The Atlanta Hawks will take Tyrese Haliburton coming out of Iowa State, a man who seems like has a similar athleticism to post-injury Sean Livingston, but doesn't play like that. Likes to shoot the jumper, but likes to facilitate the offense, and it'll be a great choice for them when Trae Young comes off the floor.
Certainly, certainly. I mean, they just need playmaking. Playmaking is so important in the NBA. When Trae Young comes off the court, they've been going to Brandon Goodwin. That just doesn't cut it in the NBA. You have to get somebody to help when Trae Young comes off the court, and he could also fit seamlessly at the 2 when Trae Young's off the court. Haliburton's a fantastic player off the ball. But pick 7, the Detroit Pistons taking Killian Hayes out of France. Killian Hayes is I'm a big fan of the foreign players in this draft. I think Killian Hayes will end up being the second best player out of this class behind Deni Avdija. But I see with the Pistons, they need talent. They need an influx of talent. Derrick Rose, there's a good chance he's going to get shipped off this offseason. If he's a Piston next season, that'll be a shock. But bringing in Killian Hayes, he's the talent of the future, a new wave in Detroit, because this era has not treated them well at all, and they're just going to move on. A lot also has to do with what they do with Christian Wood. If they don't bring back Christian Wood, then Onyeka Okongwu could potentially be an option here. But more than likely Killian Hayes, because he's the most talented player on the board at this time. Yeah,
especially with Derrick Rose being older, and you want to be the team they have now is never going to be a championship contending team. So that looks the best for the future. But if we're going to the San Antonio Spurs, Patrick Williams, the athletic forward freak out of SFU, he fits the defensive system that the Spurs love. A guy who will come in and be a defensive player from day one, and from then he'll be able to go and maybe become a player similar to the development of Kawhi Leonard. I'm not going to say he's like Kawhi Leonard, but you saw how Kawhi, after 3 years, became a 20-point scorer. You could see him being 8, then 10, then maybe even up to 17. I don't think he'll ever be a 20-point scorer, but he could be a guy who could be one of the best defenders, like a Paul George-esque body type. And then he could be giving you points as a secondary scorer.
No, I mean, I'm sure Minnesota at pick 17, they are praying that Patrick Williams falls to him, but
yeah.
He'd fit seamlessly alongside Karl Anthony Towns, but I just
like
see him
that.
making it there. But no, the next pick, the Sacramento Kings taking Aaron Nesmith out of Vanderbilt. More than likely, Buddy Hield isn't going to start next year with the Sacramento Kings. He's expressed that he wants to get out of here. If I had to say anywhere, I would imagine he'll be a 76er next year, maybe even a Laker if the Lakers can get enough assets. But no, Aaron Nesmith fits perfectly alongside De'Aaron Fox. He's the best shooter in the class. He did not play much last year at Vanderbilt because of injuries, but when he did, he lit it up from three. He shot over 50% from three, actually, which was a surprising number to say the least in college basketball. And he had a great number of attempts before the injury. But no, he fits seamlessly alongside De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is a great defender, and that makes up for some of the defensive deficiencies of Aaron Nesmith. But I just love that pick. I think he'll fit in perfectly.
Yeah, I think Aaron Nesmith, especially the fact that he's 6'6" with almost a 6'9" or 6'10" wingspan, which means he has the physical profile to be a good defender. That being said, he also has the potential, he showed up at the Combine. He was one of the best shooters this past week at the Combine. But going over to the Nets, Josh Green, coming out of Arizona, was one of the more hyped prospects at one point when he was coming out of high school. But now he has one of the highest floors, meaning that he's pro-ready. I think he could be a player comparable to Courtney Lee, a guy who will give you about 10 points, all mainly three-pointers, and maybe like an extra shot at the free throw line, but the rest will be just giving you on defense, just harassing the team's best player on offense and just giving you great defense at all times.
Certainly. No, he could have benefited from a little extra time last year if the season hadn't gotten cut short last year for Arizona, but that would help. But no, on to Denver at 22. Jaden McDaniels out of Washington. If you turn back the clock just to 2 short years ago, Jaden McDaniels was one of the top players in the class who went to Washington, which, a little side note, Washington brings in these 5-star recruits every year, but they can't win anything. Win something, Washington. No, on to the Denver pick, though. Jaden McDaniels, when he went to Washington, he was more of a long, small forward. He more so converted to the power forward role at Washington, which is where he'll probably stay in the NBA. But alongside Michael Porter Jr. and Nikola Jokic, provides great defense at the 4, and he's a fantastic rim runner. He'll make an open 3, and that's just what Denver needs. And yeah, I mean, seamless fit there for Denver.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if Bol doesn't work out, Jaden McDaniels is a guy who could be the similar player to what we expect Bol ending up. But now at 23, Jalen Smith going to the Jazz. Stick Smith, if you don't know him, coming out of UMD. He has the potential to be this stretch 4 or even a stretch 5 who gives you 3 points, 3-point shooting on offense, but then being a rim protector on the defensive side. And I think he's what you're going to start seeing a lot of modern bigs to look like, his style of play, where they're more shooters and pretty much like a 3-and-D guard, they're 3-and-D big men. They give you 3-pointers on offense, but rim protection and post defense on the other side.
Certainly, yeah. That 3-point shot's developing rapidly. He's becoming great. But no, just to kind of round it out, Grant Riller going to the Knicks at 27. And that's just one of the more notable picks. But this is all we have for you today from the mock draft, and we're going to shoot it to Annika and Andrew after the break.